From Mahershala Ali's Oscar-winning piano skills to Bryan Cranston actually becoming a meth cook, here are 10 actors who learned crazy skills for a role. Number 10. Mahershala Ali. It's not easy to put yourself in the shoes of someone as great as famous pianist Don Shirley. But Mahershala Ali made sure that he'd do the role justice in Green Book. Before he even got to the piano, though, he put months of research into it.
And the most important thing to me as well, how that time at the piano and studying and whatnot really influenced and affected the character for the rest of the story.
It was clear that this wasn't just another role for him.
And it was really important to me that we took proper care of the music element in the story.
And he did such a good job that he'd even sometimes correct the actual composer of the songs played, because the two artists were supposed to be mirroring each other throughout the film.
So I'm playing and kind of hunched over like this and moving around, and between takes he would come over and be like, can you straighten up your back a little bit?
And well, let's just say that all the effort really paid off, since he ended up getting 5 total Oscar nominations for the role and won 3 of them. Number 9. Natalie Portman. Ballet is one of the most difficult dance forms in the world, which is why most people have decades of training before they ever see a real stage. But not Natalie.
The training was really rigorous. We started a year ahead of time, and yeah, it was very extreme.
She had to squeeze in years of training, all in 12 months.
I got to spend a year with my trainer, the physical trainer, who was a former New York City ballet dancer. So to spend 5 hours a day with her for a year, I got so many stories that were really helpful.
But with that also came the mental work the film needed.
So I watched documentaries about ballet companies and read a lot of autobiographies. So there was a lot of inside stuff going on with the outside preparation.
So it's not surprising that she too took an Oscar home for this one. Number 8. Margot Robbie. Biopics are hard enough because you're portraying someone's real life on screen. But to also have to play an Olympic figure skater is a whole other ballgame. That's exactly what Margot did, and she knew she had major shoes to fill.
I really tried to differentiate Tonya in real life to the Tonya that we were portraying on screen. Otherwise, I felt if I was trying to replicate her, then I feel like my performance would be really confined.
This isn't something you can just pick up.
I hadn't done any skating, so I did a ton of training.
And it involves a lot of hard work.
Bumps and bruises for sure, and the bloodiest blisters you've ever seen, but then I herniated a disc in my neck.
But even with all that, she kept going because she was a producer on the film too, and managed to complete shooting within 31 days. Number 7. Adrien Brody. While most of the world focused on how Adrien lost a ton of weight for his role in The Pianist,
you can't act emaciated, you have to become emaciated.
He had to also work on his piano skills on top of that.
And the music, the task of trying to learn Chopin, I found such a wonderful distraction from the hunger.
Adrien really puts his heart into it.
And then so I found this new connection now to the music. This was a practical task to do the research to understand how to portray this man. And I find myself becoming somebody else.
And it was one of the most beautiful performances in history. Number 6. Olivia Munn. Actors can do a pretty convincing job at making you think they're trained at everything they do, but only a few actually put in the work for it.
The more believable it is, the better it is for the audience, and the only way to make it believable is for me to actually do it.
And Olivia Munn is one of those few.
I trained 6-7 hours a day doing wire work and taekwondo and sword, and so
That's an insane amount of training.
by the end, I did all of my fight scenes and all of my stunts.
Number 5. Tom Cruise. When you think about someone being an absolute beast on set, Tom Cruise is the name that comes to mind. And for Mission Impossible Fallout, he pulled out all the stops.
I trained for a year and a half to fly the helicopter.
You trained to fly a helicopter?
He was serious about doing it all himself.
So I got my license and I trained up on aerobatics. And it's different, I fly aerobatics in airplanes, but helicopters are very different. So we're flying very low, very close to rock faces in a chase, and I'm chasing.
But even brave men like him get cold feet.
And then I'll never forget the night before. It was dark, it was lit from underneath, it looked like a monster. And I thought maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
But he went through with it anyway, and it was amazing. Number 4. Channing Tatum. Being a dancer, you'd think he'd have it easy doing any dance performance. And well, so did he when he took on tap dancing for Hail Caesar.
I just figured that I could learn the tap movement and it would make the sound. But what I found is that you really need to be musical.
But he was so wrong.
I in no way, shape, or form knew how hard it was going to be.
A lot was riding on it too.
You're like, this is your shot. You can either screw it up or you can like land it, and you know, I was definitely obsessive.
But in the end, he pulled it off perfectly. Number 3. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Tightroping is a serious skill, and you've either got it or you don't. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt had to learn for his role in The Walk.
It was a serious challenge, but I like a challenge.
Joseph played Philippe Petit, who in real life tightroped between the Twin Towers.
He insisted that he be the one to teach me.
And Philippe was serious in his training.
He wanted me to really feel at least a hint of the fear of what it's like to be up there without any safety measures.
So by the time they were done, Joseph was able to mirror Philippe beautifully. Number 2. Margot Robbie. And here she is again. Margot Robbie is basically a chameleon at this point. And for Suicide Squad, she took things to a whole other level.
I had to learn to hold my breath underwater for a really long time.
And how do you do that?
You kind of like meditate underwater.
It wasn't easy to master either.
Yeah, well, my training started 6 months before the movie, so it was pretty intense.
Number 1. Bryan Cranston. You might not believe this, but for Breaking Bad, realism was taken to the next level.
We actually were taught how to cook crystal meth. We were taught. Aaron, Paul, and I, we went through this course by the chemists from the DEA, and they taught us step by step how to do it on that level.
But don't worry, it wasn't always illegal drugs they were working with. That was just to get them to act to the part.
This is actually, it's rock candy. And the flavor is cotton candy.